Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Mudadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Mridjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yari Yamuna Tira Yari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Gosana Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. What's that?
Yes, Prabhu, you can start.
Yes, so I'll just share my screen now. You can see, Prabhu? Prabhuji, you can see my screen?
Yes, visible. Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.4.23. Gotram Tvadiyam Bhagavan Shadvajo Dakshaya Nati Ayada Sudurmana Vyapeta Nalma Smitama Sukadaham Vyutsaksha Etad Kunapam Tvad Angajam. Translation. Because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappears. I feel very much sorrow that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up. Prabhupada ki jai. The word Dakshayani means the daughter of King Daksha. Sometimes, when there was a relaxed conversation between husband and wife, Lord Shiva used to call Sati the daughter of Daksha. And because this very word reminded her about her family relationship with King Daksha, she at once became ashamed because Daksha was an incarnation of all offenses. Daksha was the embodiment of envy, for he unnecessarily blasphemed a great personality, Lord Shiva. Simply upon hearing the word Dakshayani, she felt afflicted because of her of reference to the context, because her body was the symbol of all offensiveness with which Daksha was endowed. Since her body was constantly a source of unhappiness, she decided to give it up. I'll do the next talk also, 4.4.24, because they're really connected and like a continuation, so it will make more sense. Maitreya Uvacha एत्याद्वरे दक्षमनुद्य शत्रुहन् चित्ता उदीचीं निशशादशान्तवाक् स्पृष्ट्वा जलं पीतदुःखोलसंवृता निमील्य दृग्योगपतं समाविशत्. Translation. Maitreya the sage told Vidura, O annihilator of enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of the sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. It is said that when a man desires to quit his it is said that when a man desires to quit his body, he dresses in saffron garments. Therefore, it appears that Sati changed her dress, indicating that she was going to quit the body given her by Daksha. Daksha was Sati's father, so instead of killing Daksha, she decided that it would be better to destroy the part of his body which was hers. Thus, she decided to give up the body of Daksha by the yogic process. Sati was the wife of Lord Shiva, who is known as Yogeshwara, the best among all yogis. Because he knows all the mystic processes of yoga, so it appeared that Sati also knew that. Either she learned yoga from her husband or she was enlightened because she was the daughter of such a great king as Daksha. The perfection of yoga is that one can give up one's body or release oneself from the embodiment of material elements according to one's desire. Yogis who have attained perfection are not subject to death by natural laws. Such perfect yogis can leave the body whenever they desire. Generally, the yogi first of all becomes mature in controlling the air passing within the body, thus bringing the soul to the top of the brain. Then, when the body bursts into flame, the yogi can go anywhere he likes. This yoga system recognizes the soul, and thus it is distinct from the so called yoga process for controlling the cells of the body, which has been discovered in the modern age. The real yoga process accepts the transmigration of the soul from one planet to another or one body to another. And it appears that from this incident, that Sati wanted to transfer her soul from one body or sphere. Haribol.
Gopi, you are muted. Gopi, you are muted.
Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Raghunath की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय. So first, we can see over here that when I go to the, I'll just go to Sloka. It's given that in the translation that Sati, the daughter of King Daksha, is very morose. She becomes very morose when Lord Shiva addresses her as Dakshayani. Why is she becoming morose? That's because it's given in the purport because she That reminds us that she's connected to King Daksha, who is very envious of Lord Shiva, and he makes a lot of offenses. And she was extremely upset at that point because she was not invited. She and her husband was not invited to the sacrifice which King Daksha was doing. And even when Sati went there, Daksha didn't care about her, and he just ignored Sati completely, even though she was Daksha's daughter. And this had agitated Sati a lot. So even when Lord Shiva, she started telling Daksha, and even when Lord Shiva addresses me as Daksha, he become extremely morose. And Srila Prabhupada gives here in the purport that because this body was a source of unhappiness for Sati, she decided to give it up. So we can see here that the name is very important. The name has a lot of power. It can do a lot. It can do a lot of things. Just by telling Dakshayani, Sati becomes extremely morose. And the name is extremely powerful because even in the spiritual world, it's told that a person and his name is non-different. The person is non-different from his name. So telling Krishna is not different from being with Krishna because his name and the personality Krishna is non-different, and that's extremely powerful. There was a story, I don't remember much, about one king. He was taking shelter of Hanuman. Lord Rama had decided to kill this king, and he went under the shelter of Hanuman. And then Hanuman uh, promised to protect him. And then Hanuman was protecting this king, and Lord Rama found this king there, and then Lord Rama shot an arrow towards this king, and Hanuman was just sitting beside this king. And then when this arrow came in, the king was extremely scared. But then by the time it reached this king, it became ashes. The next arrow came, it became a garland. Next arrow came like that. There was no harm going to this king. Nothing was happening. And Lakshmana was so confused. It's told that when Sri Ram leaves an arrow, then nobody can save that person who Lord Rama has decided to kill. And Lord Rama's arrows never fail. But it seemed it failed this time. They couldn't do anything to the king. And Lakshmana was confused. What's going on? And then Lakshmana could see Hanuman sitting beside this king. And Lakshmana understood what's going on. And he understood that Hanuman was sitting beside and chanting Rama, 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 and giving protection. So here in this story, you can see how even the holy name is more powerful than the Lord himself. The name of the Lord is more powerful than the Lord himself. Hanuman was chanting Rama, 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 and that was a protection, and Lord Rama himself couldn't do anything because the name of Lord Rama was that powerful. So in the spiritual planets, in the spiritual world, the name and the person there is no difference between the name and the person. And to some extent, even in the material world, people address themselves, see themselves by their name. They identify themselves by their name. Who are you? We don't say I'm a soul, I'm an Indian, I'm a human being. No. Each person, if you ask them who are you, they'll tell their name. If you ask me who are you, I'm Gopi Krishnan. So people identify themselves by their name. So that's how important name is. And if name is not different from the person, then imagine when you say Krishna's name, how much close you are to Krishna. So calling Krishna, 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 um, it's just like meeting Lord Krishna himself, because the name is just like the Lord himself. The name is very powerful, and it's extremely um, important because even another example of where the name of Lord Krishna is being very powerful is um, the story of Ajamala. Ajamala, um, he was about to die, and he was old and he was about to die. We know the story how he calls Narayana Narayana, and he was actually calling his son, but then the Vishnu Dutas came in quickly and stopped the Yamadutas from claiming his soul. And the response the Vishnu Dutas gives is very interesting too. He says that the Yamaduta says this guy has done a lot of sins, so we have all right to claim him. And then um, the Vishnu Duta said no, he called the name of Narayana at the time of death. And then the Yamaduta said, but that was his son, so he was just calling his son. And the Vishnu Dutas say how the name Narayana was Lord's before it became his son's. He named his son later. First, it was the Lord's name. So first we'll come here, then we can think about the rest. So first we had to come here. And it's so important, and I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary, he says, I'm not sure if it's Vishwanath Thakur, but it's Acharyas say that the Ajamala, he was actually not purified when he told Narayana at the time of his death. He actually got purified the first time he said Narayana when he named his child. When his child was born and he named him Narayana, at that point he was purified for all the sins he has done, all the sins all sins he is committing, and all the sins he is about to commit. He is purified from everything just by saying Narayana at that moment and naming his son Narayana. That's why he was free. Imagine chanting the holy name all the time. And like that, so it explains on the importance of the name. So this sloka is mainly about how um, the name Dakshayani is giving a lot of sorrow to Sati Devi, and therefore she decides to quit her body. And it's you can see how here it says Srila Prabhupada say that Daksha, King Daksha was an incarnation of all offenses and the embodiment of envy because he was unnecessarily blasphemed a great personality, Lord Shiva. It's it's true on how if you see before um, in the previous chapters and all, how Daksha kept on blaspheming Lord Shiva for everything, and then he kept on committing offenses. So that's why Prabhupada says Daksha was an incarnation of offenses. And he was envious of Lord Shiva so much. And Lord Shiva had warned Sati Devi before she left not to go. Someone had informed Sati Devi that the sacrifice is going on. So she was not invited by Daksha. And because of that, she really wanted to meet her family members again, go and meet her mother, her sisters, everyone she wanted to go and meet. So he just had to go there. But Lord Shiva, knowing that this is going to it'll become big trouble because she was not invited for a reason. They wouldn't just not invite Sati for no reason. And Lord Shiva could see problems in Sati going to back to Daksha for this program. And Lord Shiva warned Sati not to go, but still Sati continued and went over to Daksha's place. And then Daksha completely ignores um, Sati, and the mother and the sisters welcome her, but then the father didn't give the welcome Sati Devi had expected to see. So she became completely furious, and also Lord Shiva and Daksha kept on blaspheming Lord Shiva. So that enraged her more. And Sati Devi, she thought about how Lord Shiva, every time she used to call Sati as the daughter of Daksha, Dakshayani, the daughter of Daksha, she used to get that moroseness. Um, she used to be embarrassed, like how um, when you call someone when you connect if you connect to someone bad and you call them by then, they'll feel embarrassed. Calling Lord when Lord Shiva used to just call Sati as Dakshayani, he meant, oh, daughter of the great king Daksha, because Lord Shiva never blasphemed Daksha. He never thought bad of Daksha, and he was never envious of Daksha. He just got angry at Daksha at the end because of Sati's death, and he left Veerabhadra. But then otherwise, Lord Shiva was always respectful to everyone, all entities, and that's how a devotee is. But Daksha was, uh, as Prabhupada says, the embodiment for envy, of envy and the incarnation of offenses. So, King Daksha, Sati Devi used to become so morose and so sorry and she was embarrassed whenever she called Dakshayani, and then she gets embarrassed. Lord Shiva is calling me by the name that I'm connected to Daksha, who used to criticize Lord Shiva extremely a lot. He used to criticize Lord Shiva a lot. So, and Prabhupada says of how because that body was a source of that unhappiness, she decided to give up that one. And in the next sloka, uh, 4.4.24, you can see on how she does the yoga to give up her body. And um, this yoga, it's the perfection of yoga to be able to give up the body whenever you want. Says on how here she dressed in saffron garments and sanctified herself with water, and then uh, closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. And uh, this so it shows here on all the details on Ashtanga yoga, what all you're supposed to do in this process when you want to leave the body. Um, Facing north, dressed in saffron garments, and in the purport, Prabhupada says, it is said that when a man desires to quit his body, he dresses in saffron garments. So when she dressed in saffron garments itself, people understood on how she wanted to leave her body, and she also claimed that she's going to leave her body. She doesn't want this body given by Daksha anymore. And then she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga, Ashtanga yoga. And it's told like how here in the purport that the soul is taken and then taken all the way to the top to the brain, top of the head, top of the brain, and then the whole body goes into flame. And um, this is how, and that's how this is done. And so this Ashtanga yoga, this is how Ashtanga yoga is. This is the perfection. They can go to any planet they want, any loka they want. By performing this Ashtanga yoga, they can immediately send their soul to whichever body they want, and that's the perfection of yoga, because they could control their death when they want to die, where they're going to go after that. But even though all types of yogas will take us finally to Krishna, this is not such a easy and fast route, because Ashtanga yoga, it's very vigorous and hard. We have to sit down straight, think, meditate on Lord Krishna. We have to do so many practices. There are a lot of practices involved. So this is not a very easy uh, form of yoga. So, and also Prabhupada says on how simply the gymnastic uh, feats of modern yoga is not actually real yoga. Yoga has to connect yourself to God. So, controlling the soul, controlling your desires, everything, you have to be completely fixed and concentrated on Lord Krishna. So, all of these elements are there. And so, it's a very hard and vigorous route. And then you have to be focused and do dhyana for many, many years. So, it's not really that easy. You had to do, there are lots of things in that. But then Bhakti Yoga is a very easy, uh, not very easy, but easier path compared to Ashtanga Yoga, and it's also the king of all yogas. It's the best type of yoga because that gives devotional service to Lord Krishna and it goes completely into the Vrindavan. And that's what all devotees, and that's the perfection of life. All devotees want, and that's the perfection of life. To go back home, back to Godhead, and to love Krishna. And this determination and love is the perfection of life, and that's what helps us in our chanting. When you love Krishna more and love the material world less, our chanting is better. And when your attraction for Krishna is not so much and less compared to material attraction, the chanting is not that good. So, this Bhakti Yoga is basically serving Lord Krishna with love. And then you can go back to Godhead, and you can keep serving Lord Krishna. So this is one of the easiest processes given by Lord Krishna. Of course, all the different types of yogas are given by Krishna himself. Karma yoga, dhyana yoga, every yoga is given by Lord Krishna himself. All the four yogas are given by Krishna so that we can reach him, so that we can reach the perfection of life. So any path you go through, you get to the final destination. Just like how one person, he starts from point A and he wants to reach point B, and he has many different routes. One is a straight route and a good road. One is a long road with many bumps, and another is a shorter road but more bumps, and like that. So, and it's up to you to choose which path you want to follow. And but then in Kali Yuga, chanting the holy name and listening to Lord Krishna's pastimes, all of this is more um, is more recommended because Ashtanga Yoga, focusing and all of that, everything for many, many years. Because all these yogis, they've been doing this for millions of years and many lifetimes, and then only they can reach at least a little bit of perfection. So it's not so easy to do it, especially for us in Kali Yuga. So this yagya of the Nama Sankirtana is recommended in Kali Yuga. That's one of the best processes to be done. So this is how the Ashtanga Yoga. This is how Sati Devi, she had done Ashtanga Yoga and boom, and then burst into flames and goes to the desired destination. She uh, she wanted to become rejoin with Lord Shiva, so she wanted to come as Parvati and then come. So so we can understand that Parvati, Sati, and Durga, everyone is the same person. We should not see them as different people. They're all the same person. And this is how, in this sloka, it's explaining the main essence of this sloka is of how Sati had sat down and did this yoga process of the mystic yoga process to give up her body. And this is the best way to actually um, give up your body at your own will, doing this yoga and then burning all of that. And in Ashtanga yoga, you need a lot of concentration. She had to close her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. Concentration is a very big part of yoga. Whatever yoga you do, even in bhakti yoga, when you chant, when you do so, absorption and concentration on Lord Krishna makes everything faster. Even in Ashtanga yoga, it makes everything faster. And especially in yoga and all, it makes everything possible if you have concentration. It makes everything possible. In concentration makes everything possible, and perfection is reached with concentration. When you concentrate a lot on one matter, you can reach perfection. Just like Arjuna, I can tell the story on how first Dronacharya, he first came to the Kuru house. Arjuna and all the Pandavas and Kauravas, everyone after the death of Pandu, they came in the Kuru house, and then they joined in the Kuru house, and they were playing. All of them were playing ball. The Kauravas and the Pandavas, all of them were playing ball, and Pandavas, the elders, very strong, and Bhima was very strong. He used to bully all the younger children, and they were all playing ball and playing around like that. And then in between their ball went and fell inside a well, and then they were all confused. They didn't know what to do. They were thinking, what should we do? Should we? How will we take this ball out? And then a stranger, he comes in, and then he says, so that means you don't know how to use you don't know the use of bow and arrow. He told these Pandavas and Kauravas, and then they were all that time they were under the training of Kripacharya, and the stranger was the husband of Kripacharya's sister, Kripi, Drona. He told you, so that means you don't know the use of bow and arrow, do you? And um, they all the Pandavas, Kauravas, they all said, well, we know the use of bow and arrow. What we are, and Yudhishthira stepped forward and we said, actually, oh stranger, we are actually under the training of Kripacharya the Great. So we do know the use of bow and arrow, but tell me how is a bow and arrow related to solving our problem right now, solving this problem? And Dronacharya says, yes, this problem can be solved by bow and arrow. I'll show you. And the stranger, he takes his ring and he just drops it into the well. And then he takes his arrows and then he shoots his arrow and then it goes through the ring and hits the ball, and then it pierces into the ball, and then he shoots another arrow which hits the previous arrow, and then he shoots another arrow and hits the previous arrow, and then another arrow which hits the previous arrow. So the whole scenario is the ball is under in the well, one arrow poked it, another arrow poked, and the rings also got within it, and then another arrow, kept on shooting arrows until it came all the way up. A rope of arrows. Like that, Dronacharya made this rope of arrows. And then he pulled out the ball, and he took his ring, put it back, and then he gave it. And then they wanted to know who this stranger is. And Dronacharya says, well, just go to your grandfather, Bhishma, and tell him what happened. He'll understand who I am. And then they all go to Bhishma there, grandfather Bhishma, and then they explain what had happened to grandfather Bhishma. And Bhishma understands who this person is. And then he understands Dronacharya. And Dronacharya, and then he goes to Dronacharya and asks him for if he could do the higher education, if he could teach these boys if he could teach these boys in archery and all, in fighting, and if he could train these boys into real men. And Dronacharya was more than happy to accept the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So he became the next teacher for this Pandavas and Kauravas. And the favorite out of them was Arjuna. He came out as Dronacharya's favorite because of his concentration, because of Arjuna's concentration. The concentration on his subject, he every night he used to practice until he gets that lesson right. How, whatever was taught, he got it right. He kept on practicing and practicing and practicing. And Arjuna also, he used to master everything immediately with so much concentration on Dronacharya. And while class is going on, full time concentration on the Guru. What the Guru is doing, what the Guru is teaching, everything. And his love for archery, he used to practice so much. One day, everyone was in the dark, and everything was completely dark in the night. And they asked someone to get lamp, and by then food was ready, and they were going to eat food. But then Bhima couldn't wait. He just wanted food immediately, so he took a plate, perfectly went to the food area, took the food, put it in. It was pitch dark black. No, you could see nothing. And then he took it back and ate and done and washed. And then when they brought the lamp, he had done everything perfectly. And then he Arjuna asked Dronacharya how this was possible. How could he do this in the dark? Could I also do archery like that in the dark? And he said yes. He was able to do this because of his love for the food. Bhima was able to do this for the love for food. That same passion, if you show it to archery, that same dedication and concentration, if you show it to archery, you can also become that good to do archery in the dark. So he used to practice so much with so much concentration. And Arjuna finally he became extremely good at archery. And one day, Dronacharya, while he was taking bath, a crocodile came and caught him. And Dronacharya could easily kill off the crocodile and leave. But then he just wanted to check the progress of his students, how good his students has become. So he started to call help. He could do it by himself. He could have just simply killed the crocodile, done, and he could leave. But then he wanted to check how his students had become. So when he was just calling help, immediately an arrow pierced the crocodile and the crocodile dead. And it was Arjuna. He jumped in and pierced and shot an arrow. Dronacharya is just starting to call help and finish. Because of his concentration on the Guru, what the Guru is doing during the class, and he's taking back. When Guru, that much concentration on Guru, and that concentration, immediately Arjuna was because of the concentration, immediately Arjuna was able to kill the crocodile. And Dronacharya was extremely pleased with Arjuna, and he gave him the Brahmastra at that point. He gave Arjuna the Brahmastra, and then he taught him how to release the Brahmastra and to retrieve the Brahmastra. Both he taught, and how to release and retrieve the Brahmastra. And like that continued. And one day, when Dronacharya had two of the boys had went to two of the boys from the Guru house went for picnic, and they brought they had a dog with them, and they brought their dog, and they went into the forest, and this dog ran away and started exploring, and then this dog went to the heart of the forest, and over there the dog was there. The dog was just walking around, and immediately a man dressed in leopard skin who looked just like a leopard jumped in. And then this dog, thinking it's a leopard, he kept on barking at the leopard. But then it was actually a man. Kept barking at this man. And then this man was so tempted to close this dog's mouth. He was so tempted to close this dog's mouth. He took a bow and arrow and shot into the dog's mouth, and he wove 7 arrows into his mouth, and he couldn't, and the dog couldn't bark anymore. He had just so beautifully woven that just so amazingly woven that nobody else could do it. And when these two boys found the dog, they were astonished by this man. And then they asked him, "How were you able to do such great archery? This is a masterpiece. You have to be such a great archer to, to be able to do so nicely." And then he says that my teacher Dronacharya taught me how to do this. My teacher Dronacharya gave me this strength. And they're confused. Dronacharya was their teacher. And then they went to Dronacharya and Arjuna, and then all of them saw, and then this dog, how beautifully he had woven these arrows. This stopped the dog from barking. And they were flabbergasted. And they didn't know how he did this, how. And Dronacharya was more flabbergasted. He didn't know what is he talking about. He didn't remember about this person coming before. He didn't know who this person is. And then this person is telling, I am Dronacharya's disciple. And that person was actually Ekalavya. Because Ekalavya, he had come before to uh, Dronacharya, but Dronacharya rejected. And he went to the forest, back to the forest, and then he carved a statue of his Guru Dronacharya and kept practicing his bow in front of this deity. And he got knowledge from the deity, got knowledge from the name Drona. He got knowledge from his Guru. And he became such an expert, he became so good at archery. He was even better than Arjuna at that point. And Dronacharya had promised Arjuna that he would, because of the love to Arjuna, he promised that he would make Arjuna the greatest archer of all time. So now he didn't know what to do. Dronacharya, he was confused now. Ekalavya was way better. He was so good and amazing. So Dronacharya just stepped forward and told Ekalavya, I have taught you so much through my deity teams, and now you need to give me Guru Dakshina. And Ekalavya fell at the feet of Dronacharya and said, whatever you want. For my Guru, I'll do whatever. And then Dronacharya asked for the thumb of his right hand, so Ekalavya's right hand. And like that, Ekalavya immediately took out an arrow from his Shiva and cut off his right thumb and placed it at the feet of Drona. And now he couldn't bow anymore. He couldn't do bow and arrow anymore. So Dronacharya then left. Everyone left from there. Arjuna was pleased and he left. And then Ekalavya was also very happy that he could do something for his guru. So anyway, coming back to the point about, so Sati had given her concentration and she did this Ashtanga yoga to give up her body, and then she is born as Parvati and all, and then in continuation how we'll see in the next lokas of how Daksha was killed and then comes back to life and all. But for now, this is where I end, where this of how much we have covered about this translation and purport. Please forgive me for any mistakes I've done in between. And also bless me for my any future lectures I give. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Hare Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Wonderful, wonderful, Prabhuji. Super class.
So, Ali, thank you, Hare Krishna, for everything.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Prabhu. Everyone,
Yes.
Namaskar, Kanai Prabhu. Thank you. Everyone, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As supposed to perform class with a subject matter. Devotees, any questions?
No, nothing. No question.
Hmm. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I'm in a different situations. So please pray for the everything here. I'm in my niece house. So please pray for the potential. And it's you are in Sultan Mayapur. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Navati.
Hare
Hare
For,
Prabhu. Thank you, Hare
yeah,
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Panchapalpadrupesya kripa
Jai
sindhu
Prakash
paditana
and
pavanati
Pratitana.
paditanam
Thank you. Krishna Hare Prabhu. Go to guys.
pavanati.
Hare Prabhu.